Eagles fans, what a wild stretch it's been in Philadelphia. I don't remember the last time the trade deadline felt this electric. The rumors were everywhere. People were speculating nonstop, and somehow, Howie Roseman decided that wasn't enough. He turned every whisper into reality. This might just be the most active trade deadline we've ever seen from him. The man was on a mission, and it's not just about making moves for the sake of it. Every trade felt deliberate, part of a bigger picture, part of something that tells us this team is not satisfied with being good. They want to be unstoppable. Coming into the week, Howie had already pulled off 3 trades before the final hours even hit. First came the move for cornerback Michael Carter from the Jets. Then, not long after, the Eagles went and added cornerback Jaire Alexander from the Ravens. And just when fans thought the front office was done, Monday rolled around with the biggest splash of all, a trade for edge rusher Jalen Phillips from the Miami Dolphins. 3 trades before the deadline, each one targeting a specific area the team wanted to strengthen. That's the kind of front office aggression that turns good rosters into championship-level monsters. Now let's talk about the one move that has the entire city buzzing, Jalen Phillips. The dude is a beast. I'm not exaggerating when I say this could be one of the most impactful trades of the entire season, not just for Philly, but across the league. Phillips isn't just another addition to the rotation. He's the type of player that completely changes the personality of a defense. The energy, the attitude, the explosiveness, he brings it all. And he's already showing how pumped he is to wear midnight green. Right after the trade, he dropped that Instagram post saying, "Philly, what's good? Excited to get to work and grateful for the opportunity to play for such a storied franchise. Go Birds." You can feel the hunger just reading that. He's got that Philly mindset already, gritty, grateful, and ready to go to war for the city. When he landed at the airport, you could see it in his face. He wasn't just happy to be here, he was fired up. He talked about how there's no other team he'd rather play for, and that kind of energy is contagious. He also mentioned how excited he was to reunite with defensive coordinator Vic Fangio, who coached him in Miami and knows exactly how to get the best out of him. That chemistry could be huge. Phillips said it himself. He loves Vic as a person and as a coach, and he's ready to get back into that system. That's the kind of connection that turns potential into production. And let's be honest, this defense needed exactly that kind of spark. Phillips' numbers are no joke. His pass rush win rate is nearly 20%, and his pressure rate is around 18%, both the best among all Eagles defensive linemen this season. That's elite company right there. He's tied for first in the league in quarterback hurries, which tells you just how disruptive he is. You can feel that kind of presence on every snap. And now, you put him next to monsters like Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, and the rest of that defensive line, and it's like, good luck to any quarterback facing that. The double teams, the mismatches, the chaos. It's going to be a nightmare for offenses. But it's not just the numbers. Phillips plays with a kind of intensity that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. You can tell this guy studies the game. His pass rush moves are sharp, calculated, and consistent. He's got that club and rip move that he commits to memory, and he executes it with precision. These aren't accidental sacks. These are planned, technical, smart football plays. You can tell he's not out there hoping for a mistake. He's out there creating opportunities. And for an Eagles team that ranks near the bottom of the league in sacks this season, this is the perfect addition at the perfect time. What makes this even better is his age and his ceiling. Jalen Phillips is only 26 years old. That's prime time for a pass rusher. He's got plenty of football ahead of him, and now he's joining one of the best defensive infrastructures in the league. With a coach who already knows how to use him, with veterans around him who command attention, and with a defensive line rotation that lets him stay fresh, Phillips is set up to thrive. Even if, hypothetically, he ends up being just a short-term addition, the move still makes sense. The Eagles would likely get a compensatory pick if he left in free agency, so the risk is basically non-existent. And let's not forget the context. The team just came out of its bye week, and the timing of all this couldn't have been better. While other teams were struggling or getting banged up, the Eagles used their week off to reload and reload hard. Coming out of the bye, they're not only adding Phillips, but they're also getting Nolan Smith back from injury, bringing Jaire Alexander and Michael Carter into the mix, and of course, having veteran Brandon Graham ready to rotate in again. That's a ton of talent being infused into one defense all at once. It almost feels unfair. The rest of the league definitely took notice. During that bye week, it wasn't just about the trades. The standings shifted in the Eagles' favor, too. Pretty much every result they could have hoped for went their way. Dallas lost. Detroit fell to the Vikings. The Giants got crushed. Green Bay took a hit. And Washington got blown out in prime time. It was the kind of weekend that makes every Philly fan smile a little wider. The team now sits comfortably atop the NFC East and in a great spot overall in the NFC race. Still, the week wasn't all good news across the league. The Commanders had a brutal night with injuries. Marshawn Lattimore went down with a torn ACL, and quarterback Jaden Daniels suffered one of the toughest injuries you'll ever see on the field. You hate to see that, no matter what jersey a player wears. Football is physical enough. Nobody wants to see careers derailed by those moments. Meanwhile, Dallas, of course, wasn't content to sit quietly either. They made some moves of their own, trading for linebacker Logan Wilson from the Bengals. Not a bad pickup, but not exactly a blockbuster either. Wilson's had some good years, but he hasn't been the same recently, and the Bengals benched him before shipping him off. So while it adds depth, it doesn't really shift the balance of power in the NFC East. Then came the shocker, the Cowboys landing defensive tackle Quinnen Williams from the Jets. Yeah, that one made everyone sit up. They gave up Motzie Smith, a second-round pick, and a first-round pick to make it happen. Big move, no question about it. Williams is a monster inside, one of the best defensive tackles in the game. So credit where it's due. Jerry Jones pulled off something unexpected. But even with that, I'm not convinced it changes much in the division. The Cowboys are still behind in the standings, and while Williams makes them better, they've got deeper issues that one player can't fix. And look, while all these trades were happening, the Eagles stayed smart. There were rumors about them making a big swing for Sauce Gardner, but that kind of deal would have been a salary cap disaster. The cost? 2 first-round picks plus a huge contract. Just doesn't make sense for a team that already has big extensions coming up. So staying disciplined and focusing on moves that actually fit the roster was the right call. That's what makes Roseman so good at his job. He's aggressive, but he's never reckless. By the end of the day, when the dust settled, the Eagles were one of the biggest winners of the entire trade deadline. They strengthened their defense, set themselves up perfectly for the stretch run, and managed to do it all without overpaying or sacrificing the future. And with the lineup they're about to roll out, Phillips, Carter, Davis, Smith, Alexander, and Carter, it's going to be chaos for opposing offenses. This isn't just a defense, it's a storm waiting to hit. And that's what makes this so exciting. You can feel something building in Philly. The pieces are coming together, the chemistry is forming, and the hunger is real. These moves aren't just about depth, they're about domination. The Eagles are gearing up for another deep playoff push, and this time, they're doing it with a defense that could be downright terrifying once everything clicks. The more you look at it, the more this whole situation feels like the start of something big for Philadelphia. Jalen Phillips isn't just another name on the roster. He's a tone setter. You can tell by the way he talks, by the way he carries himself, that he's ready to embrace everything this city stands for. Philly fans don't ask for perfection. They ask for passion, effort, and heart. And from the moment Phillips stepped off that plane, that's exactly what he's been showing. He talked about earning respect, about being a humble worker, about coming in and proving himself. That kind of attitude blends perfectly with what the Eagles have built in their locker room. The connection with Vic Fangio might turn out to be the biggest part of this story. Fangio is one of those defensive minds who knows exactly how to unlock a player's strengths. He worked with Phillips before, and he understands his rhythm, his footwork, his technique. When you have a player who already knows the language of the system, it allows everyone else to play faster. The learning curve disappears. Phillips doesn't have to figure out what Fangio expects. He already knows. That means he can step in right away and make an impact. And honestly, with how tight the NFC is shaping up to be, that immediate impact could make all the difference. What's also interesting is how this move fits into Howie Roseman's pattern of roster construction. He's never afraid to double down on a position of strength. Most general managers see a strong defensive line and think, we're good there. But Roseman looks at that same strength and says, let's make it even stronger. That's how you stay ahead of the curve. Because the truth is, football games in January are won in the trenches. It's about pressure, it's about getting to the quarterback, it's about making him uncomfortable on every single snap. And now, The Eagles have so many different ways to do that. You can rotate players endlessly and still have fresh legs coming after you. That's scary depth. Phillips also brings an energy that feels contagious. Watch him play, and you see the fire. Every sack, every tackle, every hurry, he's exploding off the line like he's been waiting his entire life for this moment. And that's something that rubs off on teammates. You can already picture it. Phillips feeding off Jalen Carter's power, Jordan Davis collapsing the pocket, Nolan Smith flying in off the edge. There's no way to block everyone. Offensive coordinators are going to lose sleep trying to figure out who to double. And when you have a defensive coach like Fangio orchestrating it all, you're going to see some creative alignments that turn this front into pure chaos. And it's not just about defense either. Moves like this have ripple effects across the entire team. The offense plays more confidently when they know the defense can bail them out. The special teams feed off the energy when the defense dominates. The whole culture lifts. You can sense that building again in Philly, that same swagger they had during their Super Bowl run. This feels like a team that's rediscovering its edge, and it's happening at exactly the right time. Meanwhile, the rest of the conference is trying to keep up. The Seahawks are getting better, the 49ers are still loaded, and now the Cowboys are taking big swings. But the Eagles have that balance that other teams don't. They're not just collecting talent, they're building chemistry. Every move they've made this season has felt intentional. Michael Carter in the slot adds flexibility. Jair Alexander gives them a tough, athletic presence in the secondary. And Phillips, well, he's the finishing touch on a defense that suddenly looks like one of the most complete units in football. When you think about the timing of all this, it makes perfect sense. The bye week gave everyone a breather, both physically and mentally. It allowed injured players to recover, new faces to settle in, and the coaching staff to recalibrate. And then, instead of just easing back into things, the Eagles went out and upgraded nearly every key position on defense. That's not just smart management. That's championship-level urgency. They know what window they're in. They know this roster is built to win now. And what makes this even better for fans is that the front office didn't mortgage the future to make it happen. These are strategic, cost-effective moves that strengthen the team immediately without crippling future flexibility. That's how you stay competitive for years, not just for one season. Howie Roseman has mastered that balance between short-term aggression and long-term vision. It's why the Eagles are almost always in the conversation, no matter the year or the situation. FlyEaglesFly News family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments, and let's talk birds. In what can only be described as one of the most jaw-dropping moves of the NFL offseason, ESPN sources are reporting that Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott has reportedly reached an agreement with the Philadelphia Eagles. The news has sent shockwaves through the league, leaving fans, analysts, and even rival teams scrambling to process the possibility of Prescott, a franchise icon and leader of America's team, crossing the storied divisional lines to join the Eagles. Details of the deal remain murky, but insiders suggest that discussions accelerated quickly over the past week, with both sides eager to reach a consensus before free agency frenzy overtakes the league. Prescott, who has been the face of the Cowboys for nearly a decade, has had his share of highs and lows in Dallas, from spectacular playoff performances to injury setbacks that left fans anxious and analysts speculating. While his loyalty to the Cowboys has never been in question, sources hint at potential financial incentives, roster assurances, and a chance to chase a championship ring as key motivators behind this unprecedented move. The reaction across social media has been instantaneous and polarizing. Cowboys fans are in disbelief, flooding platforms with disbelief, memes, and calls for explanations, while Eagles supporters are celebrating what could be the most electrifying quarterback addition in years. NFL insiders are already weighing the implications for both teams. The Cowboys would need to rethink their quarterback strategy, possibly entering the draft or pursuing alternative free agents, while the Eagles could suddenly find themselves with a proven leader capable of transforming their offensive game overnight. Of course, nothing is official yet, and both teams are expected to remain tight-lipped as negotiations reportedly continue behind closed doors. But if this deal goes through, it would mark a seismic shift in NFC dynamics, redefining rivalries and rewriting the script for the upcoming season. One thing is certain, the NFL offseason just got a lot more unpredictable, And the Dak Prescott to Eagles rumor is dominating every conversation from sports bars to locker rooms. Stay tuned, because if history teaches us anything, when Dak Prescott makes a move, the entire league feels it. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.